Okay, joining me now from Israel, a special guest, Shosh Bedrosian, is spokeswoman for the Foreign Media Office of the Prime Minister of Israel. Appreciate you joining us, Ms. Bedrosian. I want to ask you at the very outset, we are in day 6 of this ever-escalating conflict that the US and Israel is waging with Iran. Do you have any timeline in mind? Is this now going to take weeks, as many fear? The US president says 4 weeks and more.
Sure. So Prime Minister Netanyahu has made it clear this could take some time. Remember what we are dealing with. We are dealing with a regime who has been in place for almost 50 years now, 50 years of tormenting the people of Iran, limiting their rights, having no free choice, women having no rights at all. We're dealing with a regime that has called for the annihilation of the state of Israel and the United States as well. So we are targeting them to ensure that the people of Iran can take matters into their own hands, ensure and create this pathway that they can create their own destiny and take destiny into their own hands and make something of their lives. So in terms of a timeline, the Prime Minister made it clear it could take some time.
Okay, let me break down what you've just said. Sometime. What does sometime really mean? Because we're told that your Secretary of Defense, your Defense Minister, has spoken to the US Secretary of Defense, Peter Hegseth, and Mr. Hegseth reportedly told him, keep going to the end. We are with you. Now, what is this end? When you say sometime, what is the end game here, ma'am?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the United States, because Israel and the United States are working closer than we have ever worked before. We have made historic gains together in this operation, Operation Roaring Lion, to take out the regime, their military capabilities, in addition to their ballistic missile capabilities, any defense capabilities that they might have. So in terms of the collaboration and the cooperation between the United States and Israel, this is unprecedented. In terms
it cooperation or collaboration, or is it Israel leading and the US simply following the playbook of Israel? Remember, there was a New York Times article 2 days ago, ma'am, which said that it was Netanyahu who pushed President Trump into this war. So is Israel now going to direct the timelines of this war? You said sometime. I come back to it. Is Israel going to decide, or is the United States going to decide?
Well, a report like that is just simply outrageous. The Prime Minister has addressed this, and he's made it very, very clear. No one can push President Trump to do anything. President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu are clearly very, very, very much aligned in terms of taking down this threat, a threat that has called for the annihilation of both of our countries. And look now, you can see that Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, is now targeting countries across the region, the Middle East, in addition to a European country, Cyprus as well. This is not only a threat to us. So in terms of your question of cooperation together, it is unprecedented. We are working hand in hand together. Both of our armies are incredible.
But to what end game? Ma'am, you're working hand in hand. I take your point. To what, ma'am, sorry, to what end game? What is the end game? Nobody is clear on what is the end game. You're telling me that you want the people of Iran to rise. I mean, surely Israel and the United States cannot decide what kind of a government Iran wants. The people of Iran will decide.
And that's absolutely correct. And that's exactly what the Prime Minister has said. The people of Iran need to choose, and they need to have that ability to choose. Now, what we are doing is creating the pathway for the Iranian people to take their destiny into their own hands so that they can choose. So what does that take? That takes taking out this Ayatollah regime, a regime that has limited these people, these talented, brave people, for 50 years, living under oppressive terms. Like I said, going back to women's rights, women having no rights, no freedom of choice, no choice of who they can even elect as their leader. In addition, the Iranian people have suffered for 50 years in terms of not having water, electricity, access to basic necessities. And why is that? That's because the Islamic Republic of Iran has funneled billions of dollars in exporting terrorism, in creating ballistic missile programs and nuclear programs designed to annihilate any Western country, United States and Israel. The people of Iran have suffered. offered, and the United States and Israel are working and making sure that the conditions for the Iranian people are paved so that they can take matters into their own hands for their future.
So presumably the end game is to create those conditions where you say the people of Iran can take matters in their own hands. But the fact is, ma'am, in the process, we are having hundreds of casualties, including of innocent people. There was this attack on a school, more than 160 young girls died. I mean, would you concede that that is unacceptable, that you've ended up killing young girls in a school? Is this the price of war that is going to be have to be paid?
Well, let me tell you, I'm glad you brought that topic up, because the Islamic Republic of Iran actually misfires about 30% of the time. And the only reason why you actually know that report that came out is it came out from Iranian state media, which who controls that? The government, a government who has been oppressing their own people.
Are you saying the government fired a missile are you saying the school kids were hit in a missile fired by Iran? Is that your stated position? I thought there was an investigation.
There is an investigation, and I'm just telling you what some possible outcomes could be. The IDF is, of course, investigating anything like this, but I'll make it very, very clear, and the Prime Minister has said this just the other day when the Islamic Republic of Iran targeted our civilian population on a daily basis. He said that it's very clear Israel targets the terrorists inside of Iran and not the civilian population. We will do anything to ensure that the civilian population in Iran is protected, and that this is not a war and this is not an operation with the Iranian people. This is strictly to take out an Ayatollah regime who has been
in the process, hundreds of casualties, ma'am. In the process, there is destabilization, and we still don't know what kind of regime, if at all there is to be a regime change, what kind of a regime will have. Is Israel and the United States arrogating for themselves the right to decide what is a regime acceptable to them, and in the process creating global destabilization of an unprecedented nature across West Asia and the world?
Well, I can't comment on any reports that are coming out of Iran propagated by the IRGC, because how can you believe an oppressive regime who massacres their own people? You and I both saw those horrific videos that came out in January and in February of up to 30,000 protesters murdered by the Iranian regime because they took to the streets protesting their own government. Now, in terms of, you mentioned destabilization in the region, the only thing that has been destabilizing the Middle East is Iran. Why? Because Iran has been exporting terrorism to Western countries for 50 years now. They have created three proxies that surround the state of Israel: Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas. What happened on October 7th? We had a massacre of our own people by Hamas, a terror organization funded by the Islamic Republic of Iran, supported by them, trained by them. Their weapons are from them. So in terms of any destabilization, the Prime Minister has made it very, very clear that taking out the Ayatollah regime will only allow and could create the conditions of peace finally in this region, peace we have never, ever seen before.
But you see, what we are hearing, you're saying Israel wants to take out the Ayatollah regime, which you believe has heaped misery and is a cause of destabilization and exporting terror. The US president says this is about Iran's nuclear capabilities. Now, the IAEA has made it very clear that there was no imminent threat that Iran was going nuclear. Now, this whole doctrine of imminent threat that has led you to make this response is under a cloud. How do you respond? What is the actual provocation that led Israel at this very moment to take this stand? There is a belief that Benjamin Netanyahu has been pushing every US president to do this for for several decades, and finally found an ally in President Trump. But what is this imminent threat that Iran posed that has led to this kind of an attack, ma'am?
Sure, that's a great question. And Prime Minister Netanyahu has laid out why this attack and this operation needed to be carried out right now in a very urgent manner. That's because after Operation Rising Lion back in June and Operation Midnight Hammer with the United States in order to take out Iran's nuclear capabilities, we noticed and we saw that the Iranians were actually creating new underground bunker sites, working to expand their atomic bomb program, their ballistic missile program, saying and doing the complete opposite. So can you imagine that if we had to wait 3, 4 years to create to do an operation like this, to not only protect the region, protect the Iranian people for taking matters into their own hands, it would be a very, very dangerous Iran. And that is why the United States, President Trump, and State of Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu, saw that this was imminent. It needed to happen now because we knew what they were doing. They were building brand new sites.
But that's not what the IAEA
But why
says.
do they have these sites?
Madam, the IAEA says they have found no evidence that Iran is running a coordinated program to build a nuclear weapon. Is the IAEA lying, or are the United States and Israel lying? Because is this Iraq 2003 and the weapons of mass destruction lie all over again? You are looking for an excuse to target Iran, and Iran claims that they are retaliating only in self-defense. If a country is attacked, its territorial sovereignty is attacked, they will retaliate.
Well, I haven't seen those reports, and I'm not going to comment on what any other organization says. I'm here to provide you what the State of Israel's response is, in addition to the United States, and how we are working extremely hard to ensure that the people of Iran have the conditions to take matters into their own hands, but also for us to neutralize the threat of the Islamic Republic of Iran, to ensure that the Islamic Republic of Iran has no more weapons of mass destruction, has no more weapons to fire into our communities. You mentioned before that people are under attack in Iran. I'm not sure if you've seen the videos of people in Iran welcoming this cooperation between the United States and the State of Israel to free them from the oppressed regime.
I take your point, but I've also seen, ma'am, videos of people mourning the killing of Ali Khamenei, which is clearly a political assassination, targeted assassination of a head of state. I've seen those videos as well of people mourning.
Sure. I'm glad you brought up the Ayatollah Khamenei. And he is dead. He is dead because of our joint operation. He is someone who is behind. He is the leader behind the mass murder of up to 30,000 protesters, a leader who has led his country into economic despair, a leader who has allowed these proxies around Israel to target us on a daily basis, to pledge to annihilate the state of Israel from Hamas in Gaza, from the Houthis in Yemen, and their #1 terror proxy, and Hezbollah north of Israel in Lebanon. Ali Khamenei has been the #1 person in Iran to ensure that Israel is threatened. We are surrounded by proxies, that terrorism from Iran is exported to other regions around the world, threatening Europe, the United States, Israel, and other countries around the world, as I said.
You believe that's the justification for the assassination of a head of state?
I'm just outlining for you who Ali Khamenei is, and I'm glad you brought it up because people need to understand who this man was and the damage that he did not only to the innocent people of Iran, trying to change their government because they know how oppressive it is, limiting the rights of these people, but also the danger he posed to the United States and Israel, specifically here in Israel.
I come back to my final original question, which is the end game. What is the end game, ma'am? You say that this could take some time. Now, is there any timeline at all? Because a protracted war clearly is not what the United States wants. At least that's what reports from the US say. Is Israel simply now going to use the military might that it has and is the aim to completely obliterate this regime and then have a regime which is completely conducive to what Jerusalem and Washington want? Is that the end game?
Well, look, nobody wants a prolonged war. The Prime Minister has made that very, very clear, in addition to President Trump. What we are strictly working to do here is to remove the immediate threat that the Islamic Republic poses to both of our countries. Their nuclear capabilities, ballistic missile capabilities, taking out their defenses, and their senior leadership who has worked tirelessly to oppress their own people, to cause absolute mass harm to American citizens, European citizens, and Israeli citizens on a daily basis. I want to walk your viewers through and your listeners right now. We have been in war because of an Iranian terror proxy starting on October 7th, Hamas. They launched a brutal war on us, taking more than 200 people hostage, murdering, massacring more than 1,200 people. We are here because of that Iranian proxy, Hamas. And that is the start for the last 2 years for the Israeli people. And the Israeli people are brilliantly resilient, remarkably resilient, going through 2 years of war because the Islamic Republic of Iran continuing to export terrorism and destabilize the region. I'll use one of your words for that one.
I'm going to leave it there, Shosh Bedrosian, spokeswoman for the Foreign Media Office of the Prime Minister of Israel. Appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.